Welcome! We will be continuing the lesson on single letter consonants. Now we have the consonants C, G, W, and Y. Each of the four consonants C, G, W, and Y is very irregular. However, each has a pattern of consistency within its inconsistencies. The letter G is an unreliable letter. Its hard phoneme is G, as in goat. It can represent the soft phoneme J, as in huge. It is silent when followed by the letter N. It takes on different phonemes when part of a digraph. There are two generalizations to remember regarding the letter G. First, the letter G usually represents the sound we associate with the key symbol J, or the soft sound, when it is followed by the vowel E, I, or Y. Second, the letter G usually represents the sound we associate with the key symbol G when it is followed by the vowel A, O, or U. Do not forget that there are exceptions. These generalizations, however, are useful. The letter C is also very irregular, but on top of that, it has no phoneme of its own, and therefore no key symbol or key word. As a single letter grapheme, the C not only represents no phoneme of its own, but also commonly serves to represent two other phonemes, the K and the S. There is some clues to guide us as to the sounds the C represents in words we do not know. First, the letter C generally represents the sound we associate with the key symbol K when it is followed by A, O, or U. Second, the letter C usually represents the sound we associate with the key symbol S when it is followed by E, I, or Y. A generalization learned in the first single consonant lesson is when two like consonants appear together in a word, usually only one is sounded. This generalization does not hold when the consonants represent different sounds. In the word success, the first C represents the sound we associate with the key symbol K, and the second C represents the sound we associate with the key symbol S. In words containing CK, at the end of a word or syllable, the C is usually silent. Say yo-yo aloud and listen to the first phoneme as you pronounce this key word. The first sound in yo-yo will be identified by the key symbol Y. The Y is very unreliable. We can't assume when we see Y in a word it will represent the sound you hear in yo-yo. When Y represents the phoneme heard in yo-yo, it is a consonant. When the Y is at the beginning of the word or syllable, it has the y phoneme. Exceptions are some words borrowed from other languages. Each Y within or at the end of a syllable has a vowel sound. Generally, when Y is a consonant, it is reliable. Listen to the first phoneme as you pronounce the word wagon aloud. The W is very unreliable. Like the Y, it serves as a vowel as well as a consonant. W as a consonant always appears before the vowel in a syllable. W is generally an initial consonant in a word or syllable, as in went and in always. When W is a vowel, it always follows another vowel. The phoneme represented by W may be part of a blend of two consonants, as in dwell. The U, when following Q, often represents the consonant phoneme we associate with W. We sometimes use the grapheme O to represent the W sound, as in once. The W is silent before an R. Occasionally, the letter W fools us. It is part of the digraph WH, but can be silent, as in who. Let's practice what we just learned. Question: what generalization helps you to determine the sound of G in an unknown word? A G followed by E, I, or Y generally has the sound of J. A G followed by A, O, or U, or any consonant or at the end of a word represents g, as in goat. In the word success, the first C represents the sound we associate with the key symbol blank, and the second C represents the sound we associate with the key symbol blank. The first blank is K, and the second blank is S. How have you done so far? Finally, the consonants S, T, and X. The three consonants S, T, and X are unreliable. You cannot assume that when you see one of them in a word, you will hear the same phoneme as that in its key word. The letter X has no key symbol because it has no distinctive sound of its own. It represents sounds we associate with other key symbols. Pronounce this word aloud. The letter X represents the sounds we associated with KS, as in box, or GZ, as in exact. We often interchange them. We are apt to use GZ when X appears between two vowel phonemes. Sometimes it says Z, as in xylophone, or its name, as in X-ray. Technically, the X could be omitted from our alphabet by using the letters GZ, KS, and Z. The phoneme represented by S is heard in the keyword sun. The letter S is not very reliable. When you see the letter S in a word, you cannot be sure you will hear S when it is pronounced. Say each word shown aloud. Listen very carefully to the underlined part. What sound does the letter S make? The single consonant S represents the sound we usually associate with S in the words see and ask, Z in the words rose and his, with SH in the words sure and sugar, and with ZH in the words television and treasure. Here is the generalization for the letter S. When we see an S in an unknown word, we have few clues to tell us which phoneme it represents. We might note some of these possible clues to pronunciation. The letter T as a single consonant is fairly reliable. However, we must distinguish between T as a single letter and T as part of a digraph. We will talk about digraphs in another lesson. The letter T may be silent. There are several common words derived from the French language in which the T is silent. It may also be silent when followed by an F or an S. And it may also be silent in the TCH combination. There are many word parts, not at the beginning of the word, in which the T, in combination with a vowel, represents a phoneme other than T. Test yourself. Do you know the answers to the following questions? What is the key symbol that indicates the pronunciation of each of the underlying consonants in the words below? In the first word, the N says and the X says Z. In the second word, the S says Z. In the third word, the first C says S, and the second C says K. Give yourself a thumbs up if you got them all correct. The S represents the sound of S, of blank, and of blank. The first blank is sh. The second blank is z. The third blank is zh. In review, the phonemes represented by C, Q, and X need no key symbols. In our one-to-one correspondence, they are already represented. We could omit the letter Q entirely by substituting the K. We could omit the letter X by substituting GZ, KS, or Z. We do use the C as part of the digraph CH, but as a single letter, the S and K could adequately take its place.